So let's talk about the four different types of solids real quick. Do a nice little refresher, and then you guys can have a little bit of study time before we play GimKit. So that way you guys are going to do well at GimKit. All right. So we have the types of solids. It is. The particle, and then the force that holds the particles, force between particles, I should say. Yep, sorry, handwriting's not good. All right, so if you guys remember, the first type of particle we talked about and that we will talk about for this is going to be our metals. These should be an easy thing to find on the periodic table because they will be made of metal atoms. So let's just look at our periodic table real quick. I just need to pull up a metal, non-metal list. There we go. There we go. Okay, that's a better one. All right, so just as a kind of reminder of what we're thinking about when we're thinking about metals and non-metals, the imaginary line where they kind of divide is going to be right here, if you guys want to draw on your periodic tables. Grab my phone and make sure I'm putting it in the right place. There's a lot of elements on here that you're not going to have to worry about because they're not going to come up. Okay, so anything on this side of the periodic table will be your metals. Then anything on this side of the periodic table will be your nonmetals, with hydrogen being included in that nonmetal. So I'll give you guys a moment just to make sure that's down, because that's going to make your life a whole lot easier when we're trying to do our classification if you know where that line is. Are we good? No. Nope. Let's freeze the screen. Let me get that back up. And unfreeze that on your screen. Okay. So that's our little imaginary line that we're thinking about, and we want to refer to our periodic table whenever we're trying to identify our solids. So in this case, if I have something that's made from something that's just on the metal side of the periodic table, and what they should be giving you is a pure metal as well. So they shouldn't be doing any sort of mixtures. For example, I'm not going to remember. That is example. Al, solid, Cu, solid, etc. is what they would give you for that. The particle that makes the sky up are the atoms. And the force between them are metallic bonds. So that's my first category. Keep going. All right. Second type of solid that I have are my ionic. I will find them because they will be a compound. And in that compound, we should have a metal and non-metal. So for example, sodium chloride, which is a solid. If I look at the periodic table, I can see that I have sodium on my metal side, and I have chlorine, which is on my non-metal side. Another example could be, now I gotta think of something, copper sulfate, for example, is another one. When I look at the periodic table, I will see that the copper, come on and focus. The copper is on my metal side, and then the sulfur is on my non-metal side, and the oxygen is also on my non-metal side. So I'm looking for things that are a mixture of my metal and non-metal. If I have that mixture, I'm dealing with ions as my particles, and the force is going to be an ionic bond. So that's option number 2. Just trying to find more colors. Keep going. All right, option number 3 are my covalent molecular. These are going to be a compound of nonmetals. For example, H2O or CO2. So if I look at my periodic table, I will see, oh, there's carbon as a nonmetal. There's oxygen as a nonmetal. Are there any metals in that formula? No. So that tells me covalent potentially of something. Water, hydrogen, nonmetal, oxygen, nonmetal. Again, all nonmetals. Now the trick to finding these two guys is that we are looking for things with a low boiling point or melting point. The other way we can tell this is that it is a liquid or gas at room temperature. So those are the hints for my covalent network. So with this one, you probably need to read the rest of the question to find those hints. The particle that will make these sky up will be my molecules, and the bonds would be the intermolecular forces. Questions, concerns, or comments? Oopsie. All right. The last one is covalent network. Now they will only give you one of 3 potential items for this one. When it comes to the exam question, they will either give you something that's carbon-based, and that would be either graphite or diamond. or they will give you silicon dioxide. That's usually what they give you for covalent networks. One of those three things. And these guys, you will find them because they have the highest melting point and boiling point. These guys are also made up of atoms, and their bond would be the covalent bond. And I have a GIM kit all set up to help you practice these things. It's watching our time. All right, any questions? Is that pretty straightforward, hopefully? Use the hints that are there. I'm gonna write down that these are board notes. Oh, just trying not to block it. Just writing down when we took these notes, so that way people know. All right, move it. Ready? Yes. Florence? Got it? Okay. All right, so I want you guys to practice this. And the way you guys are going to practice this is by doing these NCA questions that I printed off for you guys last week. If you've lost that piece of paper, don't worry. It is on the Google Classroom. You just have to go to lesson number 1. You click on the website link. That'll open here. And then you want task number 6, looking at NCA questions. So I just want you to have maybe 15 or so minutes just to go through and answer these questions and just try to practice your classification. Think of this as your training for the GIM kit, so that way you can easily answer the GIM kit later. Cool? Lesson number 2? Lesson number 1? You're on number 6 now. So working on these NCA questions, these guys here. All of them. Just work your way through it. Do some practice before we have to do the GIM kit. Okay? I'll come by and help.